So I always sought to abandon my defense mechanisms as opposed to lessening their restraints. And as I grieve my grandfather's death, I've come to the conclusion that you will never fully abandon defense mechanisms. We live knowing that we're all going to die. So it's so interesting when we choose to procreate how we just repress this notion that at any second, any minute, any day, any month, year, this person can die. So after losing my grandfather September 29th, 2020, it really caused me to think critically of defense mechanisms for myself, given past trauma and circumstantial situations that I encountered within my adolescence up into my young adult years. I always sought to abandon my defense mechanisms, for these were the defensive armors that allowed me to survive within life. Yet survival is not living, survival is surviving. So I always sought to abandon my defense mechanisms as opposed to lessening their restraints. And as I grieve my grandfather's death, I've come to the conclusion that you will never fully abandon defense mechanisms. Defense mechanisms are the only thing it's the only thing that is allowing me to grieve my grandfather's death. I'm sorry. But to elaborate further, in order to fill the void of something or someone that you have lost, you have to compensate. You have to compensate for the fulfillment of that void, if that makes any sense. So, for me, sometimes it's looking at pictures or looking at totems and seeing hawks or eagles that make me feel a little less empty. Singing, listening to music makes me feel a little less empty. It makes that void feel less apparent, although it is very relevant within my life. So, compensation, there's a level of compensation that you will encounter when grieving. There is a level of repression to not think critically of their death, especially if it was unexpected, especially if you feel as if it was preventable. You have to repress certain emotions, you have to compensate for certain feelings or sensations and pleasures. You have to reclude, you have to isolate in order to regain your strength, to align your focus. There's a lot of defense mechanisms that you are navigating within and through as you grieve. Even as one examines the 7 stages of grief, or however many stages of grief there are, you see anger, you see disillusion. And in order to surpass anger and get into sadness, or, whatever the phases are, there are a level of, repressions or compensations or adjustments that you have to make that allow you to acquire and sustain a level of healthy defense mechanisms. That's the biggest thing when sustaining or attaining or obtaining defense mechanisms, is allowing them to be healthy as opposed to unhealthy. And you reach an unhealthy dependency upon these defense mechanisms when they become excessively used or excessively forced upon yourself and even others. As I've grieved and as I am still grieving, another critical thought that I've established is how a lot of times in life we repress the notion and or knowledge that we are all to die one day. So we create these families, we marry these individuals, we, live with the family that we were given, the friends that we acquire, the associates that we associate ourselves with. We live knowing that we're all going to die. So it's so interesting when we choose to procreate how we just repress this notion that at any second, any minute, any day, any month, year, this person can die. This person will die. Throughout life, we honestly navigate through various defense mechanisms such as repression, even a level of regression. When you're having children, you regress. You want to have a child to relive your childhood. You want to have a child to redo your childhood. There's a level of regression, there's a level of repression. There can also be a level of compensation. You may have one kid that is sucky, but the other kid is, a little bit better than the suckier kid, so you compensate there. There's just a lot of compensation. You want a girl, but you got a boy. Compensation, a lot of defense mechanisms that we maneuver within. And, I'm only realizing this as as I'm grieving. But this is a very brief expansion of a thought that I thought of. And if you want to hear a more detailed commentary of this, where I present to you all a visual video of myself just speaking on this elaborate thought, just let me know. Comment down below. Share your commentary in the comment section. Like this video. Your engagement allows for me to create more content like this. Your retention also. So if you like it, watch it, like it. You know what I mean? Help a sister out.